Hello and welcome to the next video of my World's 2022 preview series where we're going to cover mid lane. We did jungle yesterday, top lane the day before, and today will be mid. So down in the comment section, not down in the comment section, down in the description, you're going to see 3 links: Twitter, Discord, YouTube memberships. Twitter, follow me there. I post my links there. Discord, I also post links on the Discord under the new uploads channel. So if you would like to go there, you will find links there as well. We also talk about League as it goes on. This morning, we had a couple different discussions that were semi-league related, bigger issues, but that's beside the point. And then in YouTube memberships, $3 supports me, keeps the channel alive. You get a little badge in the comment section. I'd appreciate it. $10, you get more content. I do NFL, American football content, a couple videos a week, and my league predictions as well. So the day before day one of play-ins, I'm going to have a members only video that will have who I think will win the games. So if that sort of stuff interests you, become a member. Now, about this whole list situation. So the last couple days I've ruffled some feathers, and I don't really give a I can't say the next word because I want the video to be monetized, but I think that gets the point across. Everybody has an opinion, and comment down below with yours. I'm more than happy to have opinions, especially about minor region players, more so than major region players. I think I have a decent idea of my opinion of major region players, but minor region players, I only watch a couple series of each, so only just going over the surface of what a player can offer. So we're going to go through 24 through 1st and highlight a couple champions that they played that the majority of the players did not play. You're going to think to yourself, oh, why does it keep saying Galio or Zoe? I saw them be picked quite often. It's like, yeah, but out of the 24 mid laners, half or less played these champions, and Galio is an example. So last place is going to be Tally from Chief. And this morning I actually changed my list up. I had Tally up a little higher this week. Well, not this week, but yesterday and even this morning. Chief, very, very good team. Definitely the best and most dominant minor region team coming into it. They dominated their region, spring and summer, only lost one game in summer, including playoffs, I believe is the stat. And Arthur, I feel like, does a lot for this team from the jungle perspective, so it helps Tally. Tally's most common play champion was Swain, I think. Swain and a lot of Lysandra. So he is more of a facilitator, secondary carry type player, which a lot of these players are. But I don't think he has that upper gear. I think it's all Reyes and Arthur. Tally would play Seraphine, Galio, and Zareth this past split. I do not know if the Zareth was in a troll game. It's entirely possible, but he did pull it out once, and for that, he needs a pat on the back, because how often do you see a Zareth? Not often. So Tally ends up being 24th. Got to move my markers here as I go along, so I apologize. 23rd is Minji from Beyond Gaming. I was not a fan of Minji's stats. I won't lie, I didn't like his stats. I think his farm is below 8 CS per minute. His KP was higher throughout all of summer. But the fact of the matter is, I think that, you need to win lane to win games. In their group, they have DFM, which Yaharung is pretty stout in lane. So Minji, I think, has to step it up, a young player. And that's important too, a young player that needs to take the next step. And you're going to find that in this bottom tier, I valued experience over maybe, slightly better stats and things like that, because when push comes to shove, these minor region players, if they've been here before, they might have a better chance. Minji, Yone, Vex, and Seraphine are 3 champions he played that not many others did. So Minji getting a little interesting down there with his champion pool. Next, we have Froggy from Saigon Buffalo. And yesterday, people are going to say, oh, but you have Froggy lower than where you had Bean J yesterday. And I blame is a tough word, but I feel like Bean J was more at fault for their losses than Froggy. I mean, obviously it's not all his fault, but I felt like Froggy was okay in mid lane and sometimes actually had great. I mean, his Vigar games looked pretty good if I recall correctly. Now, mid lane though seems a little deeper than the jungle, at least in my opinion. A lot of stout mid laners in this tournament that have been here before, and Froggy, a young team. We'll see if he can get past it. A VCS player, so a couple interesting champions. We saw Cassiopeia out of him. Zoe, which is pretty standard, but not a lot of players played Zoe this past split. And Akali, another champion that's pretty standard that we haven't seen a lot of players play. Will the Akali be flexed? Maybe. Honestly, with the VCS, I could see Cassio being flexed. Kind of crazy to think about. You may think, oh, well, that's unlikely, and it's like it is unlikely, but with the VCS, I think unlikely becomes a possibility. Would I say it's over 30%? No, but I think it's something to think about, and Froggy offers that. A little bit, chaotic champion pool in this bottom tier of mid laners, that is his advantage. Next, definitely the player that I'm expecting that needs to take the next step is Saren from Istanbul Wildcats. Saren struggled a lot in MSI. I think TCL fans would agree. And his stats during summer were good once again. They are very good. They're great numbers, really. And I hope that he takes the next step. I hope every player that I list does well. I don't want anybody to do poorly. I go into this without bias. And it just so happens that I think Saren, his stats domestically are better than the ones below him. And he's been here before. And I think that this is his opportunity. I really do. And, I hope he does it. I really do. For not only his sake, but for the TCL as a whole. The TCL needs to step it up. I think somebody had said in the Discord that there's a chance that the TCL might end its partnership with Riot, or its partnership will be up and it could become an EU Masters region, somebody suggested, and I believe they are a TCL fan. If that ends up being the case, that would be really unfortunate. Zoe and Kaz are two champions that he played that others didn't, Cassiopeia being that one, because there is a Cassidon in here, so I should specify. Next, we get to a couple veterans here. So it is veteran time. And, some people are going to say, there's no way to do it. Like, well, this is veteran time. 20th is Tinones. Tinones has been around the block in Brazil. He is one of the, players that... He's been around, right? He's been around for sure. He's played Vel'Koz this past split. Zoe and Galio, yes, pulled out of Vel'Koz. He is the one that him and Robo are going to have to keep this team together if Loud wants any chance in Group A. Right now, I would definitely have them 6 out of 6. Sorry, CB Low fans. But Tinones is the one that has to step it up. He's been here before. It was a long time ago. But I hope he does well. I hope that he can, make a case for himself as being one of the best Brazilian players ever, right? I believe he's Brazilian. So, that's a thing too, right? Obviously, we love BRTT, but Tinones is probably second in a lot of people's minds. So, we'll see how he does. I hope that he does well. I thought his Vel'Koz looked okay when I saw it. Don't remember if it was a win or a loss, which is probably matters a bit, when you're talking about a player, but what are you going to do? Next, we have Saya from Isurus. Another player that's been here before. Somebody had said that he's the winningest player in Latin American history. I don't know if they're counting like Rift Rivals and like domestic things and stuff like that. It's entirely possible. But when it comes to the big boy, not Mickey Mouse tournaments, it's not the case. Well, maybe it is for Latin America, the most winningest player, but not most winningest player across the world. Saya, like Tinones though, has been around the block. Older player, going to be the glue that keeps Isurus together if they want to succeed. Obviously, with Grell and Gavado, two players without any experience. ADD in top lane has been at bigger regions before, but never really succeeded. So Seiya, we had a Tryndamere mid, a Yasuo mid, and Ryze. So we have a couple AD options in mid for him. Will he pull it out again? Probably not. Tryndamere has not been a champion, but the Yasuo is a thing, right? We could see some teams pulling out a Yasuo if they want to get an AP jungle in there, a Karthus or something like that. I think Grell might have played something AP, right? Yeah, he had Gwen, he had Diana, and I think Lilia I might have mentioned yesterday. So they are a team willing to pull out AP jungles. That is a difference for them that may help them in their group, and whether they win or lose because of it, I mean, that remains to be seen. Are you going to win a game because you did something like that? Maybe not, but 18th we have Yaharong. Speaking of this, actually, 1 second here. I'm going to break my tier up right now. I think Yaharung is a step above the other minor region mid laners below him. His laning has been stout for a few tournaments now. Well, not a few, a couple. But his numbers are great. He is a guy that's going to lane until the late game, scale, and affect the game later on and deal a ton of damage. He's a very good player. We saw that at MSI. We saw his Vel'Koz at MSI. We did not see it in summer. So 3 champions he played, Yone, Zoe, and Galio. But he is a very good player. I've never felt like he was the issue really for DFM. It's just kind of like DFM plays a style of game that really doesn't bode well against major regions. I mean, they play an LCK style, but they're worse than the LCK players. So, that's a thing. But in Group A, you think about it, Group A, he's definitely above Tally, he's above Minji, and above Tinones, right? So there is a chance for him to be able to succeed and carry in Group A and get a chance to get to the second round, right? And play DRX, who's I'm going to assume is the second team in Group B. Shit. Okay. 17th, we have Abadage. Abadage, I was not impressed with it all during summer. I wasn't impressed with him during the playoffs, frankly. 100 Thieves just is not somebody that impresses me. I don't like the way they play. I say it all the time. They play Fred Brion style of game, but they are not Fred Brion. They are 100 Thieves, and Fred Brion didn't do that well in the LCK playing that way. So when they play against Gen G, I think they're going to lose both games, which is not a big thing to say, but Abadage, the only weird champion he kind of played this past split was Seraphine, and they like to play Seraphine a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled it out to flex it. I wouldn't be surprised if they got a ban for it, to be honest with you, because teams might say, well, you know what, we're just going to get this out of here because it's kind of cheese, and we see that you succeed on it, so we're just going to get it out of the draft, Will he return to a form maybe that he was when he came over from the LEC? Possibly. I think it's a classic case of an import kind of, on the downward trend after importing from the LEC to the LCS. It is what it is. I don't think that he is, I think he is the worst mid laner of the major regions at this tournament. And I'll just leave it at that. Oh, I got to get this marker. Okay. Next is Katie from GAM Esports. Damn, this marker's dying. Some people are not going to like that I have him this low, and I think that that's a fair argument. Definitely the deepest champion ocean here. Played 18 champions in 49 games between summer split and playoffs. Some weird champions he played: Morgana, Tristana, and Zillion. So, the Tristana mid is something I'm excited for. Some people say it stinks. It might stink, but I'm still excited to see it. I think it's a good way to punish somebody that might want to play Galio TF, or, somebody that wants to roam. And in this meta, mid laners want to roam. So if you play Tristana mid, they can't roam because you're going to take their turret. At least that's the way I see it. But it's a very basic way to look at it. But Katie, very good player. I say that about everybody on here, but I think that he offers something that others don't, which is that champion pool. He might get counter picks against players in Group C. Maybe he gets a counter pick against Larson and succeeds, right? Maybe he gets a counter pick against Zika and succeeds, right? If DRX can get out of play-ins and go to Group C. I think that's all a possibility in this middle area of mid lane. You know, it seems that these rankings I'm doing, like there's a couple clear tiers towards the top, but then you get the rest, you know, and where is that line? And is there a big difference between the middle? Not so much, especially in this meta where a lot of the mid laners, I mean, all play similar champions in similar ways. There's not a lot of differences outside of just outright laning better, right? And finding roaming opportunities and things of that nature. Another minor region mid laner, actually the top minor region mid laner we have Mission from CFO, which we learned is not about shellfish, but apparently I read on Twitter it might be flying family or something. Like oyster translates to something that sounds like family in Chinese or something. I mean, that's what I read. Could be wrong, but that sounds a lot better than the flying shellfish. Nevertheless, Mission, has been here before, is a veteran, has played on bigger stage. I mean, has played on big stages before. Some champions he's played this past split, Galio and Syndra. I think he was the only player here that did play Syndra this past split. Syndra stinks. That's why they reworked her. So I doubt he's going to pull the Syndra out. But his laning numbers are very good, and his laning numbers internationally have been very good. It's just that he dies a lot because he kind of he doesn't respect. If I recall correctly, he is very disrespectful in lane when it comes to ganks and things like that. But when push comes to shove, straight up, he's pretty solid. So it's kind of like, which one do you want? Which one's more important, champion pool or laning between Mission and Katie? You know, I don't think that either player are destined for the LPL anytime soon or a major region. So that's why I don't really have them boosted up, because the way I view it, I don't think that they are at a major region level in mid lane. So that's a thing. Next, another player with this marker, we're going with the, beige or whatever, is Niski. And it's funny, you look at these three players and they're all here for different reasons, right? Katie, champion pool. Mission, laning, Niski, his ability to roam, and he also dealt a deceivingly high amount of damage share to his team. He's very important to his team, and more so than just roaming. His laning numbers kind of suffer, but he finds a way to deal damage, right? Niski played Nocturne and Cassiopeia this past split. The Nocturne can go back in the closet and never be played again. That game was awful, absolutely awful. They tried to be LNG in the playoffs, and they lost because of it. But Niski, good player. He's the leader of the team. He's the shot caller on the team. There's been a clear difference in play out of Mad Lions from spring to summer. That's without a doubt. I think it would be ignorant to ignore that. But his laning, I don't think, is at a high level compared to other players at this tournament. And that's what's going to be a problem for him. At play-ins, honestly, this matchup here, I think he has the edge on Froggy. But I do see a world where Saigon Buffalo can beat Mad Lions, but I do think that he is going to suffer against Zika and Jahu. So that's a thing. 13th, we have Humanoid. So Humanoid has looked very inconsistent. Even in their loss, he did well, but there were times throughout the split, and I mean, we're talking more about what did you do for me lately, but what he did for me lately was a little all over the board. His Silas is very good. You take it away, and he's not quite the same player. We saw that in playoffs against Rogue. Humanoid played Vex and Zoe this past split. Oh, and by the way, Niski had played TF. I had TF written here and I missed it. So another roaming champion. But Humanoid, more so a laner focused player, a lane focused player, and his stats would indicate that. I think if I recall correctly, my LEC wrap up video, his laning stats were a reason why he, and his damage percentages were why he was ranked so highly. So, I mean, he's going to have to take a lot of the pressure at this event. Now with Upset and Hilly in the COVID situation, if they don't play and it's Bean and Rux in bot lane, Humanoid has to put the team on his back. Because you ban Trundle out and you let these two bot laners, you ban Trundle, you ban Yumi, and Silas, and see what Fnatic can come up with, pretty much is how I view it. And it's going to be up to Humanoid, it really is. And I think that between Humanoid and the next player on the list, I would take the next player. I think the next player is better. I think he's more aggressive. He offers more. He roams, does a little bit of everything, and that is the youngest player at the tournament, JoJo. I think JoJo's better than Humanoid right now. I think that at this event, he has an opportunity to definitely surpass him and be a difference maker in the group. We'll see. JoJo played Yone, Akali, and Renekton this past split in mid. I hope that he takes the next step. I said it when I talked about EG. Now that Kaori's going to play and Danny isn't, I believe that it's all. I mean, I'm looking at JoJo to take the next step. It's unfortunate that we can't, watch Danny's development internationally right now, but JoJo is the focus. So hopefully he does well. I think it's a big deal for North America League of Legends. I think it's a big deal for esports. I think it's a massive deal. I think people don't really understand how important a North American player doing well could affect the region from outside of the region. So it's a thing. Next. We have Larson. I stopped and paused for a second because I'm debating on where I wanted to put my tier. If I wanted to put it below Larson or above him, or above the next player, to be honest with you. But maybe it'll be above the next player. So I have Larson. A drawback: there is nothing fun about his champion pool. And you may say, well, champion pools are still pretty deep. They're probably 8 to 10 deep. And it's like, yeah, but there's nothing from his champion pool that indicates pizzazz, counterpick ability, things like that. All he really has is the fact that he did extremely well at finals. He has done very well throughout all of summer, being my top mid laner, if I recall correctly. So, at LEC, by the way, not internationally. But he's a very good player. Like I said earlier, I say that about everybody, but I just think that he, in lane, is solid. He finds opportunities. He's very consistent. He's consistently ahead. You can rely on him. I think Rogue, Knight is better than Larson. That is without a doubt. But Larson, I think, is capable of losing the lane without losing the game, if that makes sense. And I think that's valuable at an international event. If you can get yourself to the late game, maybe you have a chance. Major region versus major region. We've seen LPL teams lose in the past, right? And that's a thing. So Larson is 11th. Next, yeah, I think this is what I'm going to do. So Zika is next, and then I'm going to have a break point here. And there is a big gap here between Zika. Let's do that. Let's do that. Because I do think Zika is a hell of a lot better than Yaharung and Abadage. But I don't think he's that much better than Larson, JoJo, and Humanoid. Zika was one of my top-rated mid laners from the LCK this past split. His damage numbers were good. His laning numbers were good. He's deceivingly younger than I thought he was, which is my fault. I didn't do enough research, really, I guess. When I was doing my youngest players preparation, I was like, oh, wow, he's actually pretty damn young. There is room for growth here. This is an opportunity for growth. That's a big deal. But I believe this might be his first international experience. And with that in mind, I think we have to temper expectations. Is this moment going to be too big for him? I think that you can't underestimate the human element of the game. Luckily for him, he has play-ins to build his confidence. I think that is massive for the players that have not been here before. I think it's massive for JoJo. I think it's a big deal. So with that in mind, I think Zika should be okay at this tournament. I think that in his group, he definitely is right there alongside Larson. I think he has a higher ceiling but a lower floor because, like I said, Larson I think is consistent, where Zika can go off or be irrelevant. Zika, Akali, and Seraphine were two champions he played this past split. They were interesting. Zika's definitely one of the players I'm looking forward to watching. I know in the Discord, we've compared, we got some LCK fanboys big time going on in there, and they don't like that Zika is this low, or that we think Zika is this low, but it's international stage, time to show up. Okay, next here we have Yagao. This is going to ruffle feathers. People are going to say, why the hell is Yagao below the next person on this list? I can't believe you would do that. Why are you doing that? Well, why am I doing that? That top series where Tien was able to go to mid lane repeatedly, and this guy is literally getting caught time and time and time again, is why he is where he is. That is disrespectful to the game. That's disrespectful to himself, disrespectful to the team. And, like you may say, well, you're overblowing it. Well, I think he lost the game. I think he lost games in mid the way he was playing. And Yagao is a player that I don't see as a player for you think about JDG, right? 369 and Kanavi on the top side are their better players. And then some people think Hope and Missing are really good. And Missing is really good in this meta. And Hope has been solid. He's going to be in my top. He's going to be in this area of my ADC rankings, right? But Yagao is the player that has to be solid and not lose them the game and be relevant throughout, facilitate, make things happen, and not, like I just said, not lose them the game, and he loses them the game. Lost the games against top. Yes, they end up coming back and winning, whatever. You don't get that. You don't get those opportunities in groups. In groups, if you play like that and you lose game one, you don't get to reverse sweep. You lost game one. And they're against, like, the most likely group is going to be Yagao against Showmaker, Yagao against Caps, and Yagao against JoJo Pune, right? And yes, he's better than JoJo Pune. But do you not think that Yagao is going to be caught out mid lane by an inspired gank because he's disrespecting Vision and disrespecting everything? Like, you can't play that way. So Yagao is ninth, and people are going to be upset with it, but try and riddle me why he plays the way he does and why he should be higher when he plays the way he does. I mean, it's not... Sorry. And it's like, well, you're getting kind of upset, or you're getting... Like, it's just like, I know that JDG are a team that should be in contention to win the tournament, and right now he is the guy that could lose them an opportunity. 8th is Jensen, which is why people are going to say, why would you... And maybe I missed the part where Jensen is just allowing people to gank him in lane, right? By the way, Yagao, Zoe, Rise, and Galio were 3 champions he played. I was too tilted and ranting to go over that. Jensen, 3 champions, Zillion, Yone, Anivia. So, Jensen, better than Larson, a better version of Larson, more experienced version of Larson. I don't think Jensen's going to lose lane hard. We saw international stats, right? His international stats are good over a long period of time. What, like 80 games? He has an 8.9 CS per minute. That is really good internationally. You can't deny that. His laning numbers are good against the best in the world. C9 always found a way to get out of groups. I think that when he's against Faker, he's not going to lose lane. I really don't. That doesn't mean he's going to win lane. That means he's just not going to lose lane. I think when he plays against Fnatic and Humanoid, he's going to win lane. I really like Jensen. I really like what Jensen's bringing to the team. I think that he is consistent and he is going to be impactful and he's not going to lose the game for C9 and he's going to win games for C9. I think that that is a possibility. So, Jensen is 8th. Next, a guy that's lower than we wish to have him. It's Faker. I do not see Faker 1v9 in games. I think that he's just not, like I said, about Jensen, Faker's pretty much just a better version of that. I don't think Faker's going to be... I said that Jensen wasn't going to lose lane to Faker, and I still believe that. But Faker is a better version of Jensen, and that he's not going to lose lane. He's going to facilitate. He's going to make things happen. He is going to be solid. He is not going to be the reason they lose. And if the meta shifts, Faker has the opportunity. He's played long enough and played enough champions that anything works for him. He can do anything. Except 1v9, I think, at this point in his career. I really don't remember too many 1v9 performances recently out of Faker. What do we got here? Renekton mid, Twisted Fate, and Kassadin this summer. I do not expect to see Faker Kassadin, but I think it was buffed since the end of the split, so we've seen weirder things. We saw Kalista mid at MSI, so Faker, 7th, best player ever, not the best player in the world right now. What else can I really say? I feel like that's not a over-the-top take. Next, I have Caps. And people, I feel like people are going to be upset with that one too, but caps. So we've got regular split caps, we've got playoff caps, we have international caps. All 3 are at different levels. Some people are really upset with me. I didn't have caps in my top 3 LEC mids this past split, and it's like, well, where was he? Well, you know, he's going to do really well in playoffs. Well, yeah, he's going to do really well in playoffs. Those are 2 different players. Caps when he wants to play, and caps when he doesn't want to play. He had some 1v9 performances on Silas, and I think that that Varus mid was kind of troll, and they won. Renekton and Yasuo, the team that's going to flex Yasuo around and make things fun, might be G2. Tough group, but Caps is talented. Caps is very good. He's the... let me think about this. Alongside Inspired and Targamas, he's probably the best Western players at this tournament right now. People are going to say, oh, well, Caps has done this and this historically, and it's like, yes, but right now. We're not talking about when G2 was a dynasty. We're talking about 2022. So, Caps is really good. He's definitely going to make a difference in games. He's not going to lose games. He has 1v9 potential. It's going to be really fun to watch him versus Showmaker. And like I said, him versus Yagao. I think these are going to be very fun games. I think Caps has the opportunity to really take... I could see JDG losing to G2 in a best of 1 for sure. For sure I could see that happening. And you can too, which is why you might get upset, because it could happen. 5th, we have Xiaohu. And then we have a tier here. I think Xiaohu is going to benefit from play-ins, which is weird, right? He's not a young player by any means, so why is he going to benefit from play-ins? Because he is smart enough to find counters and things like that, establish a meta, and find out what counters the meta and what counters that counter. RNG are capable of that. Xiaohu's capable of that. And I'm expecting that at Worlds. And when they go to Group D, I think that they are going to be very competitive. RNG are very good. They're a very good team. He played TF, Vex, and Galio. A lot of roaming-related abilities out of Xiaohu. If they can continue to keep that in their repertoire and that continues to be a thing that is viable, RNG would succeed. Xiaohu is definitely the best player in the world when it comes to making things happen in other lanes, and you have to respect it and respect it a lot. One of the most winningest players at international tournaments, multiple MSIs, right? Very, very, very composed in big moments. So Xiaohu is 5th, and then that's a break on the tier list there. I need this marker again still. Next, we have Showmaker from Damwon Kia. In playoffs, he stepped it up. I was really happy to see that in regional qualifiers, things of that nature. And him and Canyon are getting better down the stretch. Had somebody upset with me about my Canyon, my Canyon ranking. But I think Showmaker had a lot to do with Canyon's success. Showmaker is figuring it out. Zoe, Rise, and Galio, 3 champions he played that not many others did. I would prefer him not to play Galio. I'd prefer him not to play Rise, but you can play the Zoe, man. His Zoe is pretty cracked. And Showmaker is cracked. I think that Group B is going to be fun. That Group B mid lane is a doozy. It's just in Group A, right? Group A is going to be a doozy as well. It's fun. It's really fun. I think Showmaker is definitely in my top 5 in the world in mid lane still, and that's why he's there. That's why he's 4th. Next, I have Scout from EDG in 3rd. Scout. Defending world champion. Some interesting champions. He played Zoe, Rise, and Galio as well. It's getting kind of old, right? Saying those champions over and over again. But the fact is, those are the most interesting champions he played. Scout took the next step once Azir became viable. Clearly, his Azir is very, very good. He is a good player. And a great player, actually. And he has 1v9 potential. He can get Viper ahead. He can help Flandre out. He can help JJ out. I think Scout's one of the top 5 mid laners in the world. And when he plays against Faker and Jensen, we have 3. I think he can win lane against both of these guys. And definitely him. So, he has the potential to do so. It's a big deal. Big deal to think about. Not much else to say. When you get to this point, I think it's pretty cut and dry. A lot of people are going to either agree or disagree because of biases, not necessarily what they see on the Rift. Now, next, my second best mid laner in the world is Knight. Knight, I think that he's going to 1v9 the Group C. Playing Vex, Brand, and Galio. Yes, Knight played Brand in summer. I don't expect to see the Brand again, but he did do it. And you got to give him credit for doing that. But Knight is an extremely talented player. One of the most talented players in this event overall. I would argue maybe the second best player at this tournament, which is saying something in mid lane, but it is what it is. The only top 5 mid laner that I don't have that's at this, that isn't at this tournament is maybe Doinby. I like what Doinby offers outside of lane. I think he offers that and more so than anybody else in the world. And his champion pool is absolutely disgusting, and he is like a game changer. But this isn't about Doinby. This is about Knight. Knight is going to dominate. He's going to dominate, and I think Top and Genji are probably on a crash course for finals, unless JDG get out of groups. JDG get out of groups. It'll be a 3-horse race, but if they can't, it'll be Top and Genji as a crash course for finals. If they play in quarters, if they play in semis, then that was a championship. But there's not, I can't say much more about Knight, really. I think we all know Knight is just really good. You watch him, and you watch him in lane, you watch him play, and it's like, this guy is really good. Really good. Top player, best player in the world, Chovy. I don't want to hear that crap about, oh, well, Chovy didn't do that well in summer. He didn't really carry the game. He didn't have to. Didn't have to. This is a bot lane focused meta. Ruler carried. Yes, true. Well, then why don't you take it? Well, no, because Chovy is the best player in the world. His farming is insane. His mechanics are insane. He is insane at the game. Like, is he going to die in groups to Abadage or Mission? I don't think so. I could see him not dying once to them in groups. He might die to Xiaohu. Might get ganked or something. That could happen. But I don't see Chovy really. Chovy is going to do some terrible things to Abadage and Mission in lane, and we're going to have to, tell the police, stay away from MSG, just let it happen. Chovy's just doing what he has to do. He's just doing his job. Chovy is correct. Rise, Yone, and Karma. The Karma mid, only player to pull it out. I don't expect to see Karma, but it is something that he did. He's just so good. He's just so good. Chovy's great. So that's it for my mid lane rankings. Comment down below with your opinions. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Become a follower on Twitter. Join the Discord. Support me as a YouTube member. Tomorrow we're going to have the bot lane, which is going to be another fun video because there's a lot of great bot laners at this event. So yeah, like I said, thanks for watching and I hope you come back for more content.